Alright, welcome to this video lecture, and the topic for discussion is the backgrounds of federal judges and justices. When we start considering federal judges and justices, Article 3 of the Constitution says nothing about the qualifications of a judge or a justice at the federal court level. In fact, the only thing that the Article 3 of the Constitution discusses is the establishment of the Supreme Court, as well as the idea that Supreme Court justices serve for life under good behavior. It is up to Congress to create the lower federal courts. It is up to the President to appoint federal judges and for the Senate to confirm them. So let's look at the background of federal judges. Typically, the judges serving on the federal district and circuit courts are not a representative sample of the American people. In fact, they are overwhelmingly white males. They are also all lawyers, which is not a constitutional requirement. Federal judges have typically held office as a judge or a prosecutor, and often they have been involved in partisan politics. To date, all justices have been lawyers. All but 6 of them have been white males. So the 6 that have not been white males would be Thurgood Marshall, Sandra Day O'Connor, the first female in the Supreme Court, Clarence Thomas, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Sonia Sotomayor, and Elena Kagan. Most have been in their 50s and 60s when they took office, from the upper middle or upper class, and most of them have been Protestants. As you can see in the chart, these are the Supreme Court justices that we studied just recently. They are the current Supreme Court justices. You can see the years that they were born, which gives you their age. The year of confirmation, so they only go as far back as the 1980s, and President Reagan. And you can see what previous position they've held. Elena Kagan was the U.S. Solicitor General, and that's a term that and a position that we'll discuss here soon. Here is a picture of Sonia Sotomayor, the first Hispanic female to serve on the American court, also the first Hispanic American to serve on the Supreme Court of the United States. Here is a current picture of the Supreme Court justices that currently sit on the Supreme Court. You can see right in the middle, you can see Chief Justice John Roberts. You can see Ruth Bader Ginsburg that we've been discussing in class. Typically, justices have held high administrative or judicial positions before moving to the U.S. Supreme Court. Most have had some experience as a judge, often at the appellate level. Some have held elective office, and few have had no government service, but have been distinguished attorneys. The fact that many justices, including some of the most distinguished ones, have not had previous judicial experience may seem surprising, but the unique work of the court renders this background much less important than it might be for the appellate courts. Partisanship is another important influence on the selection of justices and judges. Only 13 out of the 112 members of the U.S. Supreme Court have been nominated by presidents of a different party, so that just simply goes to show how important your political party affiliation is and how close it aligns with the president can be to an appointment to the Supreme Court. You can also see that close to 90% of presidents' judicial nominations are of members from their own political party. Ideology is just as important as partisanship in the selection of judges and justices. Many of the 13 exceptions were actually close to the president in ideology. Presidents want to appoint to the federal bench people who share their views, and in effect, all presidents try to, quote-unquote, pack the courts. They want more than just a justice. They want policies with which they agree. Thank you for joining me on this video lecture. This is the end of this segment. There will be 1 or 2 more video lectures for this entire chapter.